I think we should have known that some blue state mayors would have changed their tune, especially given the fact that now you have a brand new president-elect. You have a president-elect that, of course, is going to be president, that, of course, is also going to want to implement a brand new immigration plan, starting with the removal of as many of those who came across the border illegally as possible, those who were in the blue cities. I think we should have known that this right here was coming once Eric Adams decided to end those debit cards.
And controversy. Distributed debit cards to migrant families staying in city-funded hotels and allowing them to buy their own food. Eyewitness News reporter Josh Einier following the breaking news for us. Josh?
Well, Bill, it's a program that, as you say, generated plenty of controversy, but now its absence may raise even more questions. The so-called Immediate Response Cards pilot program was designed to help feed migrant families who'd found themselves in New York with no way to afford food. The one-year contract provided what the city described as culturally relevant food to 2,600 migrant families, allowing them to basically buy what they wanted. A family of four with two kids under 5 got about $350 per week to cover food in a program the city said would actually save taxpayers millions a year. It also reduced food waste. You may remember the food the city had been providing in migrant shelters was seen as not culturally sensitive to the needs of some migrant groups, and it ended up just going to waste. For more than a year, the city was groaning under the weight of more than 200,000 asylum seekers. Officials say the migrant population has actually reduced lately. In fact, a massive shelter on Roosevelt Island is in the process of closing. In the meantime, Mayor Adams spoke on the phone yesterday with President-elect Donald Trump, who had vowed during his campaign to mass deport migrants. Aside from congratulating him on his win, though, Adams today would not say what they discussed.
Just for the record, I'm still not over them demanding culturally appropriate food. You've been living on the good graces of the taxpayer, and time's up. That bit at the very end about Eric Adams and Trump, we'll get to that more towards the end of the video. But, of course, there are some people out there who, quite frankly, are going out of their way to be at 100% defiant, and we will discuss them in this video as well. Now, guys, really quick before we get started, make sure you guys please go ahead and cut the notifications on for the channel. Also, if you guys can, please smash that like button. Please go ahead and hit it. Please put your finger there and hit the thumbs up button so that way the video will take off up the algorithm. Please get ready to leave a comment because I know you guys are going to want to comment on this right here. Also, something else too, you guys can follow me on Facebook and you guys can follow me on Twitter. Here are the pages themselves. Just type in John Claymore and let us go ahead and get to this video. So, of those defiant forces, well, let me replay something that I had played before in a previous video, which you probably saw last night, the video that I did on Trump's cabinet so far. That right there, of course, being Anna Navarro being triggered like always.
This is what the country voted for. This is, a lot of people thought that when he talked about mass deportations, he wasn't being serious. I don't know how many times he had to say it for people to realize he was being serious. Well, if you thought he wasn't being serious, the appointment of Tom Homan today as border czar, and he will be in charge of a mass deportation program, the largest the country has ever seen, they say. And now Stephen Miller, as deputy chief of staff, should let you know that he was absolutely serious. People think, oh, it's just going to be the criminals. There's not enough criminals, aliens in the federal prison system for it to be mass deportations. What it means is grandmothers. What it means is brothers and aunts. What it means is abuelos y abuelas. It means dreamers.
Well, they are here illegally, but also to go on top of that, you've also got this Illinois governor, J.B. Pritzker, and his sidekick, Colorado Governor Jared Polis, who has currently got Venezuelan migrants, gangs all over Aurora, Colorado. And a lot of those Venezuelan gangs have made their way to Chicago. We'll get to Chicago here in a second, but let me roll this right here for you.
We also want to make sure that there isn't a violation of people's rights with, raids, for example, that are done in coordination with local law enforcement on people who are frankly, holding down jobs and have been in this country for many, many years. We think that's improper. And in Illinois, that's not something that we would condone. There's been some talk about using other states' National Guard, red state National Guards to somehow come into a blue state and try and enforce these new Stephen Miller inspired rules. And that's just not something we're going to accept. But
I don't think this guy here, Tom Homan, is going to care. Chances are you've probably seen this clip circulating all over Facebook, Twitter, all over your social media websites. Doesn't seem to me like Tom Homan really and truly cares about what these governors think. Now, as far as the National Guard being used to get these migrants out, let me just go ahead and say this before we get started. It may not be necessary, especially given the fact that the city of New York, and we're going to start with New York, and then we're going to get to Brandon Johnson and Chicago here in a second. It seems to me that the city of New York is more than willing to go ahead and go through with the removal of these migrants. But of course, that does not mean that the media, the New York Daily News, CBS New York, will not try to find a way to victimize said illegals. Let's watch this.
As deportations as many migrants living in fear and uncertainty. And as Ali Bauman reports, the changes may challenge New York's status as a sanctuary city.
4 meses llevo aquí.
Deanna Rosales arrived in New York City from Ecuador with her newborn 4 months ago. She asked we not show her face for fear of her family's safety, a fear which has become more familiar after the election.
Sí, miedo, sí.
Yes, I'm afraid, she told us in Spanish, because I have nowhere to go and I'm in a bad situation right now because my baby's father was detained.
Migrants are very worried, so they come to us with that sense of urgency, like what do we do now?
Power Malou helps connect migrants in New York City with legal services. He says that task has become more urgent with President-elect Trump's looming plan to deport potentially millions of undocumented immigrants.
We tell the migrants not to worry, not to give any information out to anyone that is outside of the authorities.
Trump's pick for border czar, Tom Homan, promises to carry out his mass deportation plan with or without the cooperation of...
Now, real quick, I want to go ahead and say this. All right. I don't blame people for coming to the United States. I actually don't blame them for crossing the border, especially if the border was left completely open. But you got to go. I've talked about this in several videos this year. As a matter of fact, it's almost a pretty ending way to, a pretty fitting way to put an end on the content that we've done this year by talking about the migrant crisis one more time. The thing is this right here. You're here illegally. You've been getting taxpayer benefits, not just from people in the city of New York. You've also been getting it not only from New Yorkers, but you've also been getting from the American people itself. You quite frankly shouldn't be here. And the administration that's leaving, they let you here. However, the administration that's coming in is telling you got to go. You don't have a citizenship card. You more than likely have not applied for citizenship. You've got people out there committing all kinds of crimes, giving you a bad name. Maybe what you should do is go back to your location and try to save the location that you came from, rather than extorting our location. Just saying. But it does feel like there is a shift going on here. So
where we're most likely to find them based on numerous investigative processes.
Tuesday, Mayor Eric Adams said he plans to reach out to the incoming administration.
The city rules are clear. No city resources can be used to cooperate or collaborate with ICE. I think that should be modified. And I think it should be changed.
In an interview this week, Homan said if sanctuary cities like New York don't help the federal government's deportation efforts, then he may double the number of immigration or ICE agents that are sent here.
He's setting up right now a battle between the federal government and the state and city government.
Attorney and political expert J.C. Polanco says the fight could come down to the courts.
Can a locality decide to circumvent federal immigration laws and prohibit federal law enforcement from doing its job? That's going to be the question before the Supreme Court.
In the meantime, Deanna Rosales says she accepts that she may have to return to Ecuador.
Entonces por uno pagan todos.
I came here to work, not to commit crimes or steal, she says. If the president is going to do what he has to do, then what can I do?
The mere fact that we're even having a conversation at this moment in time about the possibility of using the National Guard and using federal law enforcement to remove these people, even though, and here's my guess, what would probably happen is that Trump would go ahead and send the people in that need to go ahead and do the job, regardless of what the NYPD thinks. Now, Am I saying that the New York Police Department will assist ICE in this? No, I'm not saying that at all. But it's very possible that the NYPD may say, you know what, screw it, and just kind of sit back, which is kind of the sense that I'm getting from New York City Mayor Eric Adams. And of course, he will come up here in a second, as a matter of fact, very, very soon. It just seems to me like I don't think that the incoming administration really and truly cares. Remember, Donald Trump is only going to be president for 4 years and 4 years on the dot at the most. One term. It's a reform term. It's a fix-it term, and then move on to the next person. And as you guys can obviously see, there is a shift going on in the culture. A lot of things can be done in this quick 4-year time. Like I said, it's a reformation term. But about that, about Eric Adams, about the city of New York, about how things are going, well, let's go ahead and get to that.
The questions have dogged Mayor Adams for the past 7 days. Donald Trump has promised to deport millions of undocumented immigrants. Nearly 500,000 are in New York City alone, some living here for decades.
What's your position, sir? Should the city cooperate?
Adams told reporters that what matters most is securing the border.
Fix immigration so that no city will have to go through what I went through.
You are the mayor.
Yes.
And the city will have decisions to make. Mm-hmm. Do you think that people need to know where you stand on this?
Yes, very clear. I'm not a supporter of mass deportation. I am a supporter of making sure our borders are secure. Whomever is paroled into this country has a pathway to employment so they can provide for themselves. This is inhumane. This is inhumane.
The mayor acknowledged that he must uphold the city's sanctuary city laws, largely shielding undocumented immigrants from immigration agents. Speaking on Fox News, Trump's incoming border czar made this prediction if the city does not cooperate.
We may have to double the number of agents we send in New York City because we're going to do the job.
I don't think Adams cares, but let's continue. Doesn't sound to me like a man who's all about being a sanctuary city. Doesn't sound that way at all. But trust me, when we get to Chicago, you guys will see how much better it gets. But let's go ahead and finish this part off.
We may have to double the number of agents we send in New York City because we're going to do the job.
Tonight, Jumaane Williams, the city's public advocate, accuses Adams of selling out. This mayor seems willing to either stand alongside Trump or to look the other way in the face of an agenda that harms the same people that the mayor claims to represent. Speaking on Tiempo to air on Sunday, New York's immigration commissioner said the city's immigrant community has a more immediate problem.
We saw this 8 years ago. People immediately stopped sending their children to school, stopped going to emergency services, medical services, stopped going to the police for support. We want to mitigate that.
Mayor Adams did not say how the city would push back against any large-scale deportations, adding that any change to the city's sanctuary city laws would have to come.
Go back to what I said in response to the initial part on Eric Adams. I don't think he cares. Now, why in the world would Eric Adams not care? Well, Eric Adams, of course, as you guys know, is a Democrat. He is very, very much in favor of immigration. But, of course, he realized the situation in New York is untenable. He realizes that multiple other departments have been, strained because of immigration. This also includes the sanitation department. Something else, too, that really got to me, I didn't really pick up on this right away, didn't really mention it, but we gave these people culturally appropriate food while they also kicked out the food that was given to them by the good graces of the taxpayer and the charitable organizations in the city of New York. Some of these, by the way, are Catholic organizations, which, of course, you would figure that these people come from Venezuela and South America, who are predominantly Catholic, would actually enjoy. But, of course, as you guys can see, these people have been uppity all year for a reason. You treat them too daggone good, and next thing you know, they demand the goodest of the good. I know that didn't sound right the way I said that, but who the hell cares? It's my video. I can do what the hell I want to with it. But the point is this right here. Eric Adams is a guy who's recently spoken out against the system. He's recently spoken out against the current regime. They are indicting him. Do you think it's possible that maybe Eric Adams is thinking, maybe I could get a pardon out of Trump if I actually, cooperate with Trump on this? It's a possibility, but still at the same time, though, I think Eric Adams knows what the right thing to do is, and the right thing to do would be to kick these people the hell out. But still, though, that leaves us with Chicago and their woke mayor, Brandon Johnson.
Mayor Brandon Johnson making it clear today whether it's protecting undocumented families in Chicago or his budget priorities, he will not compromise on his values. But on the budget, he seems willing to ease some of the pain on his proposed property tax hike. Mayor Brandon Johnson's proposed $300 million property tax hike has received significant criticism from alderpersons from the moment he introduced it right up until today, as public safety and other departments were getting their budgets scrutinized.
What we know is this: we are working to ensure that we go line by line to squeeze this budget as much as we can before we ask for $1 more from taxpayers.
In light of all the pushback from the council, the mayor suggesting his tax hike plan may not have been as serious as originally thought.
So this fool is going to actually keep the taxes in place and even raise the taxes. You know, there have been people protesting in Chicago about the migrants for the better part of 2024 and good parts of 2023. And something else, too, needs to be said. Chicago actually shifted to the right this election cycle. I wonder what's going to happen in a couple of years. I mean, there have been efforts to recall Brandon Johnson, but we'll talk more about that on the other side.
Well, I don't necessarily consider it as pushback. I'll say it like this. So as a public school teacher, sometimes we do things to get people's attention. And so now that we have the attention of everyone, I've said from the very beginning, this is a proposal. I'm a collaborative mayor.
But Mayor Johnson said layoffs and furloughs are still out of the question, and he won't defer making a supplemental pension payment this year. The mayor denied misreading the council when he announced the property tax hike.
My finance team continues to have robust conversations about other forms of revenue that they should consider.
Also today, with the potential loss of federal dollars for law enforcement if the city won't cooperate with the Trump administration's plans to deport undocumented immigrants, the mayor making it clear Chicago will not be bullied into helping ICE agents.
We're not going to bend or break or cower to someone's threat. We're going to stand up and unite around our shared values, and they have my assurance that I'm going to protect the families of this city.
The special city council meeting that was scheduled for tomorrow for a vote on the mayor's property tax hike has now been pushed back.
Let me just go ahead and say this right here. CPD, Chicago Police Department, they're probably not going to care either way. Will they actively cooperate with ICE? Will they actively cooperate with the National Guard if they're sent in? Probably not, but they also won't impede it. Like I said before, it's probably going to be a strenuous process. It's going to be a long process to get all these people back. But you got to understand something right quick. You got roughly 21 million illegal immigrants in the country. Of course, you've probably got a situation where 4.5 million dreamers will probably have to be given citizenship, and probably an additional 4.5 million at a later date will probably be allowed to stay as long as they're not committing any crimes. I'm being realistic here. 21 million is going to be kind of hard to do, and ending birthright citizenship is going to take at least 60 votes in Congress to get 60 votes in the Senate to get legislation through. You may not see that, but right now you can at least look at this and say that it's one hell of a start. You ask me how many illegals get kicked out, I would say as many as possible, but it's going to be an extremely long, arduous process. And given the fact that the Biden administration did so much damn harm to this country, it's going to take multiple terms to fix it. However, I am hopeful that we are at least on the right track. But still, at the same time, woke mayors like Brandon Johnson, they're the reason why it is that we are in this situation. And I did talk about this in the video that came out at 11 o'clock, the stink that this leaves on a current political party. And here is that stink. The previous video was a video that I made last night about the race grifters. What happens to the race grifters now that they've lost? Well, they're not going to go away. They're still going to do the race grifting politics is what the hell they're going to do. Now, the usefulness of them to the Democratic Party, not as much. The Democratic Party is going to try to get rid of these people. But when you look at the racial grifter crowd, the racial politics crowd, when you look at the woke crowd, it's still roughly about 25 to 33% of their base. That's a base of support that they have to have in order to win elections. And I've been saying that that party probably won't be winning elections in the near future. Also, to go on top of that, the right is more than likely going to be emboldened, especially given the fact that we just won. And something else to go on top of this, we also know that most of America agrees with us now, especially given the fact that we won the popular vote. The truth be told is this right here. Woke mayors like Brandon Johnson are going to find themselves in a situation where there's not going to be as many of them. And the ones that are there, they are going to be emboldened. But go back to what I said before and go back to that previous video. The stink it leaves on the party. Come 2025, when you get the gubernatorial elections, come 2026 midterm elections, come 2027, you got more special elections, including the mayor of Chicago. In 2028, the presidential election, Republicans can just simply look at Democrats and say, we're still fixing the problems that you created. You let these people across the border. You honestly expect 70-some-odd million people to trust you again after everything you've done? And look at how you've treated your base the past 4 years. Look at what you've said about them. I mean, every time you turn around, white people are constantly getting attacked by black people. Hispanics are always getting attacked by black people. And of course, they're always attacking one another back. The fact of the matter is they look like a complete total clown show, and the American people saw it for 4 straight years and said, look, we've had enough of this. These people are gone. They're not going to be winning elections in the future, but that's also up to you too as well. That right there being said, though, you guys can obviously see that there is going to be some resistance, but there's also going to be some people who are going to say, you know what, screw it, get these people the hell out of here. So yeah, things are looking up. You guys tell me what you think in the comments section. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video. Tomorrow's video that I have on what happens to the online left is already posted. It's already ready to go tomorrow, which will be Saturday. I may have one more video coming out tomorrow afternoon. It's probably going to be on the 4B crap, just kind of a fun video to throw out there, a very short one. And on Sunday, I may come back and do the Jinx humiliation ritual video. And then, of course, we'll be getting back to some more content, some stuff that was released. Actually, I never really got to this week here, but still very important next week. So make sure you guys stick around for all of that. Next week, I'm probably only going to do the 2 video a day thing. I've been kind of posting a little bit more, but of course, it's also because algorithmically I've been beat up pretty bad. Not necessarily so much, a lot of it's, of course, the health issues and stuff. But still, though, there will be content out tomorrow and this weekend. So please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comments, and I'll see you guys later.